Welcome into this OUA broadcast. I'm joined here in beautiful Athletic Institute, Orangeville versus Thornlea Secondary School. And we start this off right away off the tip. Some great action here on the off. Starting it right in the post. Dishes it out for three. First bucket of the night, drilled by Keshawn Brahimi.
Now Keyshawn Bartholomew with that three right there. And if you look at these athletes out here, you might think this is a post-secondary OUA game, but here we are, in fact, at the OSBA. Several 7-footers on the floor. Orangeville using their size. The three-pointer, that was Shamar Ratan Mays answering back.
Right away, we can tell huge intensity by both of these teams. Thornlea Secondary School 6-3, countered by Orangeville Prep, sitting at 6-1. And already back-to-back threes drilled. A huge strip by
Ratan
Orangeville.
Mays.
Heading the other way. Trying to finish strong, followed up. Almost blocked by his own player, then blocked by Thornlea.
Too much size inside there, and that's not a problem that you have very often, but both Jones and Hendricks going for the putback.
McNeely with the three of his own. 3 buckets, all threes. It's 6-3 Thornlea. Now Orangeville brings the ball up. Orchestrating the offense from the top. Quick drive, dish, ball around the horn. Screen and roll, looking for the interior pass, poked away. This one heading Thornlea's direction.
It's going the other way, and you like to see the intensity on the bench from Thornlea earlier. Trying to follow up on their big win from Thursday, where they handed Orangeville their first loss of the season.
And it's not often that Orangeville on the receiving end of such a bitter defeat. Thornlea doing a great job in that game. Now Thornlea on the attacking end. Swung right into the corner, shot over the defender, nothing but net. Keyshawn Bartholomew with another three. 4 buckets already, all coming from behind the arc. Not a single shot attempted inside. It might just be one of those games.
Well, now, if you're Orangeville, you got to go to your strength and use the interior.
And right on cue, using the interior. Getting inside and fouled, heading to the line for 2 free throws.
And Orangeville will pick up a couple here at the line. As we mentioned, coming off that defeat last week, their first of the season. That was on the heels of a compacted schedule where they played so many games and so many nights. Came up a little flat against a Thornlea team at their home gym, at their homecoming, who just wanted it more. There's the reverse move. Joe Jones working inside.
And Joe Jones, one of the 7-footers on this starting lineup for Orangeville. A lot of these young high school kids looking like grown men out there.
I think Joe Jones may be listed at 6'9", Hendricks maybe 6'10", 6'11". Tyrese Samuel as well on the team on the bench. One of those nominal 7-footers.
And another rebound, this one heading the other way. No time for hesitation. Right up at the rim, unable to finish, ball out of bounds, Thornlea.
Joe Jones tries to save it. I think it was out of bounds already.
And here we have Cassius McNeely, already 6 points in the game on only 2 shots. He typically orchestrates this Thornlea offense, and I would expect nothing different from tonight. And a foul, offensive foul, this one on Thornlea. Jamal Telford with the clear push in the back, easy refereeing from the official. The ball heading the other way.
Ratan Mays did a good job of selling that call as well. Flying out after the push, making sure the referees took notice.
A bit of a revenge game, this one for Orangeville, of course, dropping their first game of the season to Thornlea. We see a travel, back-to-back turnovers, one from Thornlea, one from Orangeville. But as I was saying, a bit of a revenge game for this Orangeville team. Not typically a team that loses, or more notably loses 2 in a row to the same team on back-to-back weeks. So clearly a big point of emphasis is to get this win and look a lot better than they did last time.
They're not used to coming off of a loss, that's for sure. Playing on their home floor now after a bit of rest compared to the previous game.
And Cody Gardner seeing his first action of the game, number 55. As that one comes up short, Orangeville looking to break. A great finish that time by Jefferson Koulibaly using glass.
I think that was Joe Jones inside there.
Excuse me, we have a bit of a typo on our sheet right now,
hey.
So we're going to get those names sorted out. And a
and
huge
he
block
comes
by
up.
Jones. Transition 3 in the corner. This one off. Jones feeding on the inside. Knocks it. And the foul called.
And you can see Orangeville just sending people to the rim, crashing the boards, going for tip-ins, going for putbacks. Trying to prove a point here, trying to make a statement. This is a statement game after what happened on Thursday when Bartholomew went for 28, McNeely went for 25, Telford went for 22. This young core of Thornlea, all 3 of those guys, class of 2020, still have another year left. This Thornlea team also has a great junior team, which won the Father Henry Carr Junior Classic. So with those guys still with a year remaining and their junior team looking strong, this is a contender at Thornlea brewing, if not already.
And it's clearly going to grab the attention of people like us who are so involved in this OSBA community. When you get a huge win over Orangeville, granted it was on the 3rd night of 3 straight back-to-backs. This one off, tipped from the substitute, Gardner out. Back to Gardner. Signaling from movement, looking for the pass, but a kick ball called. Well orchestrated move there, but I'd have to say that's pretty solid defense, preventing what looked like an easy layup.
When you signal for the movement, it's already too late. But again, go for the kick there. Just stop the play.
Here we have Keyshawn Bartholomew on the inbound to Beal.
Bartholomew likes that spot in the corner.
Oh, right on cue, launching it, but coming up short. Long rebound. Heading the other way, nearly blocked. Ooh. Grabs his own rebound. And a foul called. What a sequence of play from Matthew Alexander Moncrief, almost going end-to-end off the rebound. Coming up just short, could have been a foul, nearly blocked. Now he triggers. Good assist, quick pass. Easy bucket for Orangeville. Cassius McNeely. Feeding into that mid-post. Back to Gardner. Into the corner for 3. Nothing but air. Long rebound.
Got up by Orangeville. Here they go in transition.
And a strong Euro step and an offensive foul called. This one heading back the other way. 2 offensive foul called already, and I have to believe that both of those were the correct call.
The step just wasn't Euro enough. He kind of stepped right into him before he stepped away. Plowed through the defender.
Not
and
Euro enough.
Sent him to the floor.
Here we have McNeely. Over to Corey Gardner, excuse me. Ball on the inside, clear foul called on Beal. He'll head to the line for 2 free throws.
And Beal down low is their big man. He's blocked 10 shots in a game before this
10
season.
shots?
He's got a challenge tonight with all the big men as you see Tyree Samuel step on the floor for Orangeville. You take out a 7-footer or you don't. And I see Joe Jones still on there, Hendrick still on there, and Samuel steps up. And you just have a wealth of size.
Well, you talk about his size as he shoots a second free throw, drilling the second of 2. And he almost just looks average size against this Orangeville team, who's clearly one of the best in the country, if not the best. One of the biggest teams, one of the most skilled teams all around. So not as much of an advantage as he'd like, as he typically has against teams in this division. Working around the screen, great pick and roll. Feet on the outside, shot up, no good. Offensive rebound and the putback. Joe Jones, it appeared, was on the offensive glass. Hungry for that one.
Second chance points have been the factor here that have allowed Orangeville to retake the lead.
And the game started off with 3 after 3 after 3. Now it's shifting into the more prototypical Bulldog style of play, trying to get into the paint, those high percentage looks. But another 3 launched, this one off cue, and a foul. A controversial call.
As they're going to say he was pushed as the ball went out of bounds.
And the Orangeville head coach not happy with that call. I have to say, from my vantage point, it did look like the Orangeville player was pulled to the ground. I can't tell you which 2 were involved in the altercation, but I can't say that was the right call.
It's one of those plays where both players fall down and something might have to have been called.
And obviously a lot easier for us to call it because we're up here as another foul is called by the same official. However, I do believe this was the right call. It looked like there was contact on the arm, although clearly the Orangeville player's a little riled up from the last call, so maybe affecting their reaction on this one.
They have about as good a perspective as we have here on the sideline and standing far away, although they may be a little more biased. You'd hope so. We're impartial.
Well, I can't remember the last time a player got fouled and was like, no, it's good. I fouled him. And he drills both of the free throws to make it a tie game at 12 apiece.
As Orangeville looks to make a substitution.
Looks like it's Ben
And
Hendricks.
they do, as Giovanni Scott comes in for Orangeville, number 13.
And Orangeville doing a good job of getting everybody touches.
Oh, and the ball will not drop for Samuel. And
Samuel stepped out of bounds. Another turnover from this Orangeville team.
And this Orangeville team, you see Samuel come in off the bench, Giovanni Scott come in off the bench, both members of Team Canada's junior national team this summer.
Yeah,
coming off the bench.
Not too bad to have a few Team Canada players that are just taking a seat casually for the first 7 minutes of what I'd have to say is a pretty big game, as we were talking about a statement game between 2 higher caliber teams in this league. I'd say that's about the best problem you can have as a head coach, as to which of your talented players do you start, do you play, and how do you get the best out of them?
And yet here we are, tied at 12. As Thornlea has matched every possession. They've been efficient in their offense. It's just been their ability to lock down the defensive boards and keep that size of the Orangeville Bears out of the paint.
And that's one of the key factors to this game, is keeping that physicality, that size at bay. Of course, a huge height advantage against every team in this division. As we see another 3 knocked down.
A soft touch by the big man there, Tyree Samuel, who earlier this evening committed to Seton Hall. He'll be a Pirate in NCAA Division I next year.
And an interesting decision, of course. He was looking between 4 different schools, deciding the Seton Hall route was the route for him. So best of luck to the young man. Of course, a very difficult decision for him to make, as he's in the corner, shoots a 3, but he was out of bounds. The referee on our near side calling that one.
She had a good look right there, standing right next to him.
And Alonzo Tan
Samuel trying to capitalize on back-to-back threes, feeling the heat. It's nice to have a big man that can step out like that.
Yeah, it's almost the prototypical big that you see in the modern NBA. And a lot of the NBA stuff, as we see Alonzo Tan, take that one under the bigger shot blocker. Great finish by him. But as I was saying before, a lot of the NBA game transferring to the lower leagues, much like the OSBA, where bigger players are expected to step out, be able to handle the ball, be able to facilitate, and not just pound it down low, grab rebounds, and block shots.
Equal opportunity.
We have Jones, dishes it out to the corner. Scott in the corner. Moncrief off on that one. Joe Jones fighting for a rebound, but will get fouled on the floor.
Credit Giovanni Scott there for not just taking the three when it was swung to him, for making the extra pass over to Raton Mays for a better look. Although he doesn't make it, they continue to crash the glass, and here they are at the line.
Jones off on the first one. And he makes the second one to tie this game back up. Orangeville employing a little bit of a high press now. Tan blocked on the inside, and they're heading the other way. A 5-on-3. The middle opened up and converted and won. Giovanni Scott with the foul and the finish. Hill heads the line for the three-point play.
Scott there goes coast to coast and ends up right in the camera at the baseline. Hopefully they've got that footage as he gives a roar at the end of that full court run out and finish. Scott's there to help on the interior, but Thornlea with a second chance attempt there, as that is Zyphron Grant with the shot. Finding the ball right in his lap.
Orangeville looking for potentially the last shot. 3-second difference between shot clock and game clock. Dishes in the corner. 3 seconds to shoot, and a foul called.
On the pass. So we'll get a shot clock reset, and it will be the last shot of the quarter.
Justice Prentice at the line now that Orangeville has achieved the bonus. A very close game, well contested between these two teams. Only 5 seconds left. Thornlea. And the shot is up. No good at the end of the quarter. Bartholomew off on that one, but a good job from both these teams, especially Thornlea, only trailing by 2 at this point, but it's been a very well contested game between these two teams. Biggest lead at 9-3 with only 6 points separating the two squads. I wouldn't expect much different for the rest of this game.
You got to think that at some point Orangeville is going to try to wear them down inside with all those second chance looks, and Thornlea's shots have been falling, and that's kept them in the game. You got to think if they can keep that up, it could be close coming down the stretch, but Orangeville still got a statement to make.
They do have a statement. They have something to prove. And if Thornlea is able to pull out back-to-back wins against what looks like the runaway favorites year after year in Orangeville, it'll truly put this league on notice that Thornlea is not just a one-day wonder. They're seriously here to stay. They're seriously here to contend, and they can take down these clear favorites.
Absolutely. Neither team able to create any separation so far. well contested, and we may be in for a good one.
I do hope so. These games on the OSBA typically run very close and very exciting basketball. These young adults extremely fired up to play televised on the OSBA site.
Game of the week.
Game of the week, baby. And what a game it should be as we start the second quarter.
Justice Prentice inbounds to Raton Mays, going with a 2-guard look.
Ball in the post, fade away, and he drills it. Joe Jones with the finish.
Bones showing us the soft touch. A little fadeaway.
Thornlea has not yet faltered against this solid Orangeville press. Appears to be a 1-2-2 press that they love to employ.
2-3 defense now, they shuffle back into.
3 seconds left on the shot clock. Nearly forced a shot clock violation, but steals the ball behind the back. Up with heavy contact. No foul called. Offensive rebound put home. The Orangeville bench all up on their seats, but I'm sure they won't mind the 2 points with the follow-up.
As they've opened this quarter, 4-0 now.
And another steal, back-to-back possessions with turnovers.
They've got numbers.
And a great take there by Keyshawn Bartholomew, who's fouled shooting, unable to convert, but will take 2 free throws.
That's the first time we've seen Bartholomew go inside. He's been a terror from outside this game, just racking up triples from his favorite spot in the corner.
A near corner, a short corner, obviously one of the easiest spots to shoot from behind the arc. And Bartholomew truly makes defenders pay, especially when they're rocking a zone, as Orangeville like to do from time to time. So maybe that will be a theme that starts to develop, those open shots from deep. It's just going to be a question as if Thornlea can convert.
The thing is, they were getting those open looks when it was in a man defense. So let's see if the zone changes that, if they can spread it out, challenge some shots. As it is, they're up 5.
And a deep 3, unable to convert this one. Bartholomew in the corner, swings it around, Euro step, just off. Pretty smooth Euro step, able to create space, just a little strong on that finger roll.
That was Euro enough. He got right in there. Oh,
and the dunk! Huge slam there. Giovanni Scott with the finish and the shimmy at the end.
The rim has been bent down. Can it be snapped back up?
Oh my goodness, we might have a serious problem at this game.
There we go.
Just as easily fixed. Good thing it wasn't me on that court, because it would take a lot of growth for me to touch that rim.
I'm sure someone will give you a boost. As Scott completes the 3-point play, they've outscored them now 7-1 in the quarter, and it's suddenly an 8-point advantage. And for all of our talk about Thornlea staying in it and it being a close one, this second quarter has proven otherwise so far.
This team very dominant when they get going, forcing the ball inside. Very few teams in the league can match up with them, and it's going to be difficult for Thornlea to match their physicality on the inside. We've seen numerous offensive rebounds already, a few putbacks off those offensive rebounds, and if Thornlea is going to stick in this game, first and foremost, they're going to need to corral the defensive glass and hit their outside shots.
And Thornlea's had a great season, a little bit up and down, having lost to Rise, a loss to TRC, and a loss to Lincoln. But sitting at 6-3, still one of the top upper teams in the league, and trying to make that 7-3. 6-4 doesn't sound as good.
No, it doesn't. And when you play the Rise, when you play Orangeville twice, and you find your record at 7-3 for the reigning champions and debatably the clear-cut favorites in Orangeville, and you play them 3 times this early in the season, and you come out with a dominant record like a 7-3, even a 6-4 doesn't sound too bad at that point, but 7-3's got a nice ring to it, and I'm sure Thornlea would love to hear that at the end of the game. on the offensive end now. Thornlea. Bartholomew into the corner. Telford. Another turnover by this Thornlea team. And back coming the other way. Lobbing it up. 1-2. Good finish there at the rim. Cassius McNeely doing it once again on the inside.
Plays it safe, takes the lob, and lays it gently off the backboard.
Now Moncrief orchestrating the offense. And another turnover. This one heading the other way. A 4-on-3, back-to-back turnovers. And he's not going to miss this one. Going up and slamming it down. Tyrese Samuel barely had to jump for that one.
The Quebec product with the easy flush.
And a deep three. Nothing but net.
Wow, McNeely forcing a timeout there as they're back within 5. Thornlea not giving up, not going away.
Not going away at all. Cassius McNeely must have heard us on the broadcast on OSBA because he heated up 7 points in a matter of 1 minute to truly bring this game back into contention. 5-point lead for Orangeville now.
A moment ago, we were talking about the potential of going 7-3 or ending up 6-4. Either way, you got to think that's a pretty good record in a competitive league when your best players are all class of 2020 with another year left and your junior team coming up.
Maybe the ultimate goal this season isn't a championship. Maybe it's a good playoff run, maybe second or third round, and build those younger classmen, maybe some sophomores, few juniors, maybe a freshman or two, so they can be prototypical contenders next year. If you talk about that young talent that they have in their core, they continue to develop at this rate. The sky is the limit for them next year.
Meanwhile, Orangeville on the other side, they've really concentrated their efforts, their forces on this one squad, having previously entered 2 A teams in AI Prep and Orangeville Prep. Now running Orangeville Prep with 2 other kind of minor teams, the AI Red and the AI Black, both winless on the season with all the big time talent here on the white team on your screen, Orangeville Prep. Well, the Bears.
You stack the top line and you see 5, 6 players sitting on the bench. Any of those could find their way into a good college or university on scholarship as we see a 3. Excuse me.
Giovanni Scott.
Giovanni Scott stroking it from deep. Alonzo Tan orchestrating the offense this time. Bartholomew hits this one. Mid-range Jimmy.
Just a nice little floater there. Lots of elevation.
The constant movement from Orangeville, creating space and the finish. This one, a great finish. Giovanni Scott, back-to-back buckets. He'll have a chance to add another one. It's a 3-point play.
Now, Giovanni Scott just did a great job of moving with the ball there. Not settling for anything, just recognizing his clear path to the basket. And in the process, picks up a foul, too.
And an interesting release. A lot of backspin on that one.
Shot it from up high. Little need for arc.
And good movement from the Thornlea team. Most likely focusing on not turning the ball over as we saw so much at the beginning of this quarter. Fade away. Front rim. Nearly rebounded, but another rebound. Giovanni Scott pushing it the other way. Orangeville. Low post. Jones taking the contact, finishing strong. Pushing this lead to 11 points. And the referee calling for the shot clock to be reset.
Or to be started. It hadn't been started on that possession. Wanted to recognize 4 seconds had come off the shot clock. Nothing easy for this Thornlea team.
Nothing easy at all. The ball swinging around, it's humming, but unable to convert.
Good no call there.
Good no call. It looked like a little bit of an embellishment there. Orangeville looking to come back with an attack of their own. Good denial there. But the ball on the inside. And Joe Jones, honestly, beasting and feasting right down low, taking advantage of his matchup with Cody Gardner.
Looking truly like a grown man down there. with a defender on him that's, frankly, using both hands to try to push him out to no avail. And picks up the foul, and Gardner will go to the bench.
Yeah, forcing Gardner out of the game there. And Thornlea forcing a turnover, 2-on-1. Up strong, huge block! Huge block, Joe Jones getting in on the action on both ends of the floor, picking up a huge rejection.
See, that's normally a flush for Beal. His long arms, long body coming in with a fast break. Jones would have none of that.
And it almost looked like LeBron in 2016 giving up a little space, almost asking him to try to finish it strong over him. But he gets nothing but swat there. Coming back, though, on the other end, Tho Beal with the finish and the foul, better than the 2 points he would have had before, but keeping him off the highlight reel.
Oh, if he had thrown down the dunk on him, though, that would be a highlight reel.
For real.
For real, of the year.
Well, I don't know, that first game we did with the Rise, that buzzer-beating dunk,
yes.
game-winning dunk, I don't see anything that could top that.
It's hard to top a game-winning dunk. How do you top a game-winning dunk?
Hard to top a game-winning dunk on your home floor for the first game of the season after raising the banner against a team who then wins the next 5 games. Pretty intense. This one ramming in and out, but Jones on the doorstep. Another offensive rebound and a dunk here. All for naught. The foul called before, but Giovanni Scott with the putback, not going to count, but little entertainment value there.
As he rides the bicycle in midair, following the jam. Some confusion here as to where the ball will be inbounded after the call, as the referees confer, make an official decision.
Matthew Alexander Moncrief, the emotional leader, getting his team fired up. Standing like a boy amongst those huge men next to him. In stature, of course.
There's Rathan Mays, looks inside. Instead, he'll shoot it. No good. Counting on Joe Jones to get those second chance opportunities. Oh, Samuel with the spin in the open court.
Corner 3. Just off. Another offensive rebound. They've been dominating the offensive glass. Has made huge inroads. Thornlea looking for the jump ball called. A little outrage, and I can understand why.
A jump ball.
Foul.
And the bench is up, but then signals 2 shots.
Interesting call there. It didn't look like there was anything but the ball grab, but obviously very difficult to officiate a game that is this fast-paced.
Samuel makes good from the line. I always wonder when a player has their teams narrowed down to 4, as Tyree Samuel did earlier today. At what point had he made the decision to go to Seton Hall next year?
It's obviously a good question. You never really know unless you're on his inner circle. But I would anticipate it was before 5 o'clock today when he made that announcement.
Not a spur of the moment type of decision.
Maybe he flipped a coin before, a couple coins, see what happens. But obviously he did what he felt was right. And all the best to him, because he's a proper young man, and wish him a lot of luck and a lot of success in his future basketball career as we pick up a foul. Shooting 2 free throws.
The Quebec native was a real standout at last year's BioSteel All-Canadian game, and this season came to prepare for the NCAA with a final high school season here at Orangeville Prep. And as a resident of Quebec, was the only person on Team Canada's U18 team not from Ontario this summer.
Interesting.
The other 11, all Ontario natives, including former Athlete Institute member Addison Patterson.
And I would anticipate the vast majority of them are in the OSBA. A lot of them playing in this game, as we see a great spin move, but nothing but air. Now, Thornlea looking to break.
Ooh.
And
all the way down the court.
Cassius
no finish.
McNeely on the rebound, no need to pass, end to end. Nearly finishing with the 3-point play, but unable to convert that one. Now McNeely heading to the line for 2 more free throws. And he drills both of them, cutting this lead down to 6. This Thornlea crowd getting very involved in this game.
Hey, they came all the way here to make some noise.
Well, I guess if you come all the way out here, you better be passionate. No bucket called, offensive foul. This one on number 15, Joe Jones.
Trayvon Blake just takes the contact, knows the hit is coming, and drops for the call.
And well done by him, and well done by number 13, Cassius McNeely. He's a basketball player, he's a student, and he's a groundskeeper today.
Everyone pitching in, doing their part in the OSBA.
McNeely taking the deep 3. He thought he could add sniper to his resume, but this one coming up short. And a foul here called on, I do believe, number 14, Trayvon Blake.
As the game has slowed down a bit in the last few minutes, we've had a few shots at the line for Orangeville.
And we have, and it seems like the emphasis has shifted from that first quarter to working it around, sharing the ball, to almost just pounding the paint, because they don't believe that this Thornlea team can match them on the inside.
Or at least if you punish them enough inside that they'll wear down and struggle to make shots later in the game.
Yeah, wear down, maybe force a couple of their bigger guys into foul trouble, force them off the floor. But it's been working for them. They got a 7-point lead right now. Thornlea hanging around though.
They'll need a strong close to this quarter as...
And a big 3 hit as he stares down the Orangeville Prep bench. Hyped up.
Gets props from their coaching staff. They recognize that's a great shot.
Great shot indeed. And a jump ball called. It appeared like the ball was out, but nothing called before that. It'll be Thornlea's ball, however. Of course, no jump balls in the OSBA. The possession arrow facing Thornlea's way. It'll be Orangeville's ball next time that there is an indecision.
Telfort is going to bring up the Spalding Precision, the official basketball of the OSBA. This is in its first season as the official ball sponsor of the league. Brand new technology from Spalding being tested here on the courts of the OSBA. The tough bucket drops for Cassius McNeely.
coming right back, looking for the answer. This one going wide. Skies for the rebound, heading the other way. Bartholomew in the corner. Blake takes it up strong, unable to convert, heading to the line. Trayvon Blake fouled. He'll shoot two.
Under the radar here, Joe Jones has picked up 2 or 3 fouls that he didn't need to. He's been a force inside. We'll see if that affects his game.
And we'll see if that affects the way that his coach plays him for the rest of the game, because 3 fouls is pretty close to fouling out.
And don't look too soon, but that free throw goes. And this one coming up, we're looking at a tie game again all of a sudden.
I know. Thornley's doing a very good job of pulling themselves back into this. Almost glance away, and that lead was gone.
We did look too soon as he missed both.
And a drive, unable to finish. Mays looking to add 2 more to the total, 2 more to the lead.
Just blowing by his defender there, as Bartholomew wasn't ready to contain him.
Truly got a strong first step. Very hard to contain in that open floor, especially because of his ability to stretch the floor and hit those outside shots.
Raton Mays, you got to think. He gained some of those moves training and playing against his brother growing up. Member of the New York Knicks, Xavier Rathan Mays, Raton Mays, and high school teammate of Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, not a bad job, not a bad day job, I guess, playing for the Knicks. Not a bad city, I guess.
Back and forth, you know, G League
the Big Apple
to the Knicks, but with a decent franchise.
Definitely a decent franchise and I'd say a pretty decent city to be in. The Big Apple.
It's a feel-good story for X.
Times Square.
I call him X.
MSG. As we see both those.
It's no Orangeville, but
no Orangeville crowd. It's actually no Athlete Institute. MSG, but it's a close second. As we see some confusion.
I believe had a technical foul called against the Thornlea coaching staff, who are bewildered at the call.
And it's actually Kayshawn Bartholomew holding back his coach. Doesn't want him to get another technical and thrown out of the game, or that would be one heck of an uphill battle.
You know, if a coach believed there was a time to commit a technical to inspire his team, rile them up, a minute left in the second quarter is not a bad time to do it.
But could he have saved it for maybe another time? Because it's going into the break. He can talk to his boys, get them fired up instead of just getting the referees fired up. And
this way he can show them before halftime, I'm serious.
I got you. I got you.
And then at halftime, they'll really know. As I'm sure they're finding out in the timeout right now.
An interesting call, because from our vantage point, I couldn't hear anything that he was saying. Maybe he crossed a line, stepped over an unwritten rule.
These unwritten rules of basketball are taken very seriously.
Very seriously. I'm sure they're written somewhere. But I'm sure that the Thornlea coach hasn't read that book. Once again, thanks for tuning into the OSBA. Thornlea versus Orangeville Prep. Orangeville 6-1 on the season. Thornlea 6-3. Their only loss, however, coming against Thornlea just a week ago. Last Thursday, Thornlea currently leading Orangeville, trailing to Orangeville 38-42.
Free throw falls short for Raton Mays. But after a technical foul would indicate that the ball would go to Orangeville, but got Thornlea ball.
And it appears that it will stay with Thornlea to the dismay of just about everybody wearing white on the court or on the sideline. However, to no avail. Quick inbound. Swung around. Quick 1-2. Inside. Dish out. Quick three. Front rim. Offensive
Beal
rebound.
recovers.
Great offensive rebound. Great recovery. Thornlea giving a little bit of their own medicine back to Orangeville. Now Orangeville looking for a 2-for-1 here.
Oh, easy path all the way to the rim.
And
Where was the help defense?
And Mays with a great finish. This time another great finish. Kayshawn Bartholomew finishing over the shot blocker. Now Orangeville signaled to hold for one. He wants to flatten out. Inside out. Fancy footwork. Floater. Off target. And heading into break, Orangeville only up by 2, 44-42 over Thornlea. What have you liked from both these sides up until this point?
Slim lead for Orangeville, and they have been the aggressors so far. You know, it's if you didn't see the score, you'd think they would be up by more. It kind of surprising. Thornlea's going on a few little runs to just even it up. Playing from behind a lot of the game, but their ability to stretch out and hit the outside shot, they just got to focus on somehow boxing out the trio of 7-footers on the floor at all times. And, you know, we say 7-footers liberally. They might be an inch or two shorter, but out here in high school basketball, they've got some serious size.
Of course, keeping Orangeville off the glass, a lot easier said than done. We'll be back after this short break.
See how they can do it.
Pretty nice.
There we are back for the second half of action on OSBA TV live from Orangeville, as the Orangeville Prep Bears hold a slim 2-point lead over the Thornlea Thunder. If you're just joining us, the second half of action is coming up. 44 for your team, your home team, Orangeville, in the all whites, taking on Thornlea, the all black with a little splash of purple.
Starting it up with a quick three dialed up. And right away you can see some people fired up on this Orangeville side.
That was Jefferson Kulebali with the three to open it up.
And right away, both teams looking to attack, put back after the block. This one from Joe Jones getting off right where he left off in the first half. Now, Thornlea,
Thornlea playing catch up a lot of the game. Oh, as Hendricks swipes the ball with those long arms.
And back-to-back steals from Hendricks, doing a great job of being active on the defensive end. 2 steals in just 1 minute in the second half. Dish out. Ball swung around the horn. Deep three, nothing but net. Firing the teammates up, Jefferson Kulebali.
With another three, and what was a close game, it's now a 10-point lead, double digits.
Don't blink you'll miss it. This game's been a game of runs since the second quarter. One team breaking 10 off, another team breaking 6, coming back with 4, coming back with 8 or so, and no team's been able to open up a lead or 10 or more until now.
Keep an eye on the run here and let's see how far Orangeville can stretch it out. Currently an 8-0 run.
And this coming right on the heels of that run that Thornlea had to end the second quarter. As we see a great attack, great dish. Joe Jones unable to finish, but on the doorstep, Ben Hendricks with the flush. Now a strong move, unable to corral it. This time, offensive rebound put home. Kayshawn Bartholomew.
Bartholomew there, just the man on the spot. Ends up with the ball in his hand and finishes with the left.
Rathon May is orchestrating what he wants the offense to do. Spin move, unable to finish once the foul. But now Thornlea looking to press the tempo. Corner three, and what looked like a double dribble, not called, but a clear foul, this one on number 10, Jefferson Kulebali.
Maybe a double dribble, kind of just looked like an awkward dribble.
I guess that's what the referees thought as well.
Just lost a handle on it, recovered in time to get spun around by the defense.
And Kulebali not having any of that, no soft fouls, but it looks like it's going to be a flagrant foul. Interesting call by the referees. I don't think that foul was being called 10 years ago or even being looked at. But new NBA, new OSBA, new rules. As we see one missed, Jamal Telford hitting backboard before hitting rim.
And you see Jefferson Kulebali explaining himself to the referee over there. We know no ill intent on that play. Him and the defender, he was the defender, and the offensive player just doing the dance a little bit, spinning around.
And the ball swung around once again. Looking for the open man. Everyone getting a touch. Corner three. And he drills it. This one, Cassius McNeely, who has been absolutely everywhere, stroking it from the outside and drilling it inside the paint.
And what you might not have noticed was the little things on that play, like Keyshawn Bartholomew setting the key screen off the ball so that the defender could not get to the three-point attempt, giving him an open look.
And McNeely once again with the slam One hand throwing it down.
Just a slight hesitation at the perimeter, and all of a sudden he's at the rim.
Thorn Mays once again telling the offense what he wants. Hands it off. Moncrief back to Mays. Mays dishing it out. Hendricks puts up a shot. Nothing at all. We're heading the other way. And big block on the other end. Joe Jones, quick turnover. And Thornlea with a 9-second shot clock, trying to force it inside. Another block.
That looked like a double block. Blocked it, still in the air, blocked it again. Oh!
And a jump ball called. This one, Cassius McNeely forcing it, and it's going to be Thornlea basketball.
Bartholomew there has a lot to say after that block.
And the Orangeville coach irate with that call. Clearly not happy with the way that possession was officiated. And a player walking off the court right now.
Maybe the basketball ended up under the bleachers. Send in search and rescue.
From my angle, it seemed like the player was storming off. Only to recover the basketball. The Spalding performance basketball.
Absolutely. Precision in finding that ball. Just got to hope there's no popcorn or gum or soda under there.
You don't want to ruin that perfectly good basketball. We see Thornlea swinging it around once again. Ball on the inside. Contested, rebounded by Hendricks.
We've seen Thornlea get inside a few times and then look around and just realize that they've been smothered. Where they could normally get a look up, there's just nothing there. No light.
And an injured player down as we see a layup finished at the other end. But more cause for concern.
Ratan Mays testing it out. Is it the knee? Is it the shin? He's squatting, but he's up. Definitely in a bit of pain.
A little bit of pain, but when he went down, it looked like it could have been far worse than it appears. So good to see him moving around, because from what I saw, it looked like it could have been a sprained ankle or maybe a dislocated vertebrae.
Something.
Something.
Could have been anything, but he walks off under his own power.
Good to see. Maybe we'll see him back in the game, but definitely could have been a lot worse for wear. It looked like he fell on one of the players' legs as he's coming down.
And not a bad substitute as they bring in Justice Prentice at point guard, the James Rose Award winner from Ontario basketball for his play with Team Ontario this summer.
Really not bad having a pool of all-Canadian, all-Ontario players to fish from, but we're seeing it on the other end. Orangeville, great block at that time. It looked like we might have been seeing a highlight reel from Jefferson Koulibaly, but a big-time block.
As Bartholomew and McNeely come together to say, did you see that? Poke that one away. But unfortunately, after getting the ball back, give it away right under the rim.
And Orangeville giving up another lead.
As Prentice here will stop to lace up the Kobe's.
Pretty nice kicks. Drilling the first of two, extending the lead to 3 points. And he hits them both. Now Bartholomew, blowing by his defender, putting up the tough shot, unable to connect. Coach wanting a foul, nothing given.
Just so tough to take it into the paint against this Orangeville team.
And now we have a good move, a foul called. This one will send Moncrief to the line.
And they'll say,
wow,
foul on the floor.
Foul on the floor.
Not shooting.
You clearly see the Thornlea coach upset about the foul call. Then they tell it's on the floor, and now Orangeville coach upset.
Neither team happy with that.
Neither team happy at all. And a quick steal this time.
Very
Thornlea.
casual inbound.
Corner three. Blocked this time by number 5, Jamal Telford.
Tyrese Samuel there
Excuse me.
with the block.
Tyrese Samuel.
2 hands.
Quick inbound, corner 3, and a travel called. This one, who appears to be
That
Grant.
corner down there, I think that corner just keeps creeping up on the heels of these players. I think we've seen 4 out of bounds calls in that corner, that one corner right there. Something deceiving going on. It could be the loud Thornlea fans.
It could be, definitely. Maybe a little
At
bit
this
of a
point,
distraction.
though, now that they've switched ends, not doing them any good.
And an offensive foul called. This one drawn by number 14, Trayvon Blake. And a substitution coming in. Blake coming out to a huge, not coming out Blake, just getting a quick high five from his coach. And now Thornhill with the ball. Fancy
Showing the
moves.
ability to handle there.
And an ill-advised pass easily picked off by Orangeville. And a foul called. This one on number 21, Zyphon Grant, and it will send number 11 to the line, Matthew Alexander Moncrief.
He's been getting up and down in transition this game, and it's starting to pay off for him now. Wasn't a major factor in the first half, but is a major factor for this team. If he gets rolling, could be the factor that pushes them over the edge and into the win column.
A thing that Thornlea's done really well this game is not turning the ball over much when Orangeville has employed the press. Of course, they do have quite a few turnovers, however, not many calls by the press. And we see a deep 3 just off iron, but stolen back. This one right at the rim. Great move that time. Zachary John with the finish.
He absolutely hung in the air there. No one's there to call the screen out for him as he gets his head smacked.
And a jump ball called. This one staying with Orangeville Prep as teammates rush over to help number 1 up, which is
Justice Prentice. There you go.
Justice Prentice. I like that name. We see a great spin move that time. Joe Jones doing it all on the inside. We see it there with some fancy footwork.
He knew where he wanted to get, and he got right there, spun perfectly onto his left hand, and a good move and a good finish.
And Orangeville rocking the zone once again, forcing this Thornlea team to take outside shots.
Which they did so well the first half.
It seems like they've almost fallen out of favor now with that 3-point line. Now Beal, A huge dunk, this one by number 11, Matthew Alexander Moncrief, rising up and throwing it down.
From the roof.
And the ball swung around. Over to Bartholomew inside the post. And a deflected ball off the knee of Thornhill, heading Orangeville's way.
Giovanni Scott just got a hand on that, maybe even a fingertip, to prevent the cutter coming in on the baseline.
And that's all it took for Orangeville to earn the ball back. And now we see a little more pressure employed by Thornlea. Zachary Scott, the one pressuring the ball, as we see a great spin move. And the finish! What an amazing move! Giovanni Scott!
Giovanni Scott just cradled the ball basically at his feet and somehow brought it back up with a flick of the fingertips. Got it to roll in from well below the rim.
And Scott with the rebound off another Thornlea three-point miss. And a great pass that time, great feed, great find. Justin Prentice finding the assist. Calling a timeout on Thornlea's end.
When you got big guys inside like that, you can just toss the ball up. They'll make you look good at the point guard position every time. And you see that there as Prentice takes it inside, and he's not even sure who's going to grab it inside, but you got to be sure one of those big guys, Hendricks, whether that's Joe Jones, even Moncrief out there, one of them's going to rise up, find the rim.
Throw it up, and see what happens.
And they've earned the confidence of their point guards with their ability to finish. None of these guys bricklayers inside.
Right now I'm looking up at that wall right next to the scoreboard. We see a couple numbers retired. Number 23, which was worn by Jamal Murray from 2013.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Michael Jordan.
Not quite, but maybe the Canadian Michael Jordan one day.
A couple of famous number 23s.
Yeah, maybe one or two. You know, you got LeBron, Jordan, just to name a couple. Maybe Jamal Murray's next. He played from 2013 to 2015, of course. We all know the great Canadian that he is. Thon Maker, 2014 to 2016. His number 14 retired, playing for the Bucks. Thon Maker is, and playing for the Nuggets, Jamal Murray is.
A couple of strong NBA teams, and both playing a key role on those squads right now at the highest level.
And Murray almost breaking the 50-point mark, I believe.
So close, so close.
Tying Steve Nash for the top Canadian scorer and getting booed after.
I, for one, do not begrudge him of that last-second shot.
I don't either. I would have taken that shot. You got your home crowd behind you, firing you up, and you're right there, tied with the great Canadian Steve Nash for the record. So why not put it up, try to isolate yourself on the top of that leaderboard like he did, unfortunately for him. Got a bit of scruff from it.
Of course, the opposing team took exception. It's one of those unwritten rules like we were talking about earlier in the broadcast where Kyrie Irving didn't want that to happen. The best perspective I heard about that after the game, Jalen Rose said,
I like that.
If you don't want a guy to score 50,
don't let him score 49.
You got it.
And Kyrie Irving picking up a hefty $25,000 fine for a little bit of a ball in the crowd action. But back to the game, Orangeville with another rebound, holding a 12-point lead. Like we said, game of runs. This one, Tyree Samuel unable to connect on that one. A lot of people appealing for a foul call. And a huge block. Joe Jones on the other end. It looked like he wanted to rise up and throw that down on him, but not a great idea when Jones is in the area.
He has played a strong interior defensive game, just swatting away shots and taking bodies.
Good way to put it. And a foul called, this one on Tyree Samuel. Maybe an intentional foul to stop that 3-on-2. But Thornlea might not have a chance to go 2 for 1 here now. Ball swung around. Corner 2. Just unable to convert. But a foul on the follow-up, which will send Thornhill to the line.
Neither Scott nor Moncrief believe they should have got the foul, but you got to box out first. Take care of what's first.
for we're up to a lot of basketball players, none would ever have committed a foul, and none would ever. And every time that they've driven to the lane, they would be shooting free throws. But that's just the YMCA I go to.
Oh. We have a correction.
And outrage pouring out from the Thornlea
As
coach's
Scott
corner.
claims the call, the referee agrees with him, gives him the foul.
Wow.
Oh.
Emotions boiling over, and it looks like one of the coaches has just been ejected on Thornlea's end.
Overturned sign.
The overturned sign of the OSBA as we see players chasing out. Not entirely sure what's going on here, but it appears that it's a medical emergency. Players signaling to call 911.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the OSBA broadcast. the incident taken care of, and now we're back into the game. As Jeremy Telfort knocks down the mid-range jumper, only 10 seconds left now. Ball being swung around by Orangeville. And a great move there, finished off with a nice finger roll to end the quarter. But this game taking a drastic turn. Orangeville leading Thornlea 69-56. We'll be right back after a short break.
Just before the end of that third quarter, we saw one of the coaches of Thornlea take the side exit and possibly fall. So if you weren't aware, there's weather outside. It seems to be okay as he's up and back inside, but of course, frightening moments for everyone here in the gym as caused some scattering and a few held breaths. But we're now back on for the fourth quarter with Orangeville holding a 13-point advantage, up 69-56.
Extremely frightening moments in this gym. Quite a few frantic people running around, and currently none of the head coaches are on the bench taking care of matters inside the the dressing room right now from one of the assistant coaches from Thornlea. Hopefully he'll be okay, but we still got a basketball game to play. The ball being swung around the horn. 7 seconds left on the shot clock. Fired for three, nothing but air. Easy rebound, corralled. Now, Parentis swinging the ball around. Moncrief inside. Back to Giovanni Scott. Scott trying to dribble it around. Running low on the shot clock, 5 seconds. Number 5 forced it up, unable to connect. Long rebound, Thornlea.
Ooh, Moncrief saw a steal opportunity there and would have been wide open for the jam.
Corner three, drilled it. This one, number 5, Jamal Telfort. Cutting the lead down to 10 once again, as we see this Thornlea side will not go away.
That penchant for the long ball could be their ticket back into this game as they pick up a steal.
Long ball and steals their way back in it and preventing those offensive rebounds. But you gotta be careful with possession. 4-5 players hit the deck and a foul called on Orangeville Prep. Interesting sequence of plays as we have a turnover on one end, another turnover, or what seemingly was gonna be a turnover on the other. 3 Orangeville players hitting the deck, 2 Thornlea, and Thornlea will pick up the foul and get the side out of bounds.
A couple of substitutions here as the starting backcourt for Orangeville comes back in the game just before a timeout. We'll see Ratan Mays return to the floor after it appeared he injured himself or tweaked an ankle partway through the third. Good to see him able to return to the floor as teams will take a timeout, get a bit of a breather. Thornlea trying to regroup. Of course, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about how this is a statement game for Orangeville after suffering their first loss of the season on Thursday last week. Bit of a tired team at the time, having played a number of games over the weekend and games earlier in that week, and coming up a bit short, missing some open shots, eventually losing by 18 to a Thornlea team who was ready to pounce at their home floor on their homecoming night. What an exciting win for that Thornlea program, up-and-coming program. Of course, now here in Orangeville, the Bears want to make a statement that they are still the team to beat in this league.
Yeah, it's not a great feeling when you drop a game in that fashion, on home floor, on homecoming to top it all off. But when you talk about 18 points that they won by, it wasn't exactly an 18-point lead. Of course, Orangeville missing quite a few open shots that they typically would hit. But a lot of fouls in those last 2 minutes, which really did inflate the numbers from maybe what could have been a 10-point loss to an 18-point loss. So looks a lot worse on paper than it was, but Orangeville in control right now. But Thornlea looking for a comeback. Kayshawn Bartholomew doing what he does best, hitting that mid-range Jimmy. Now we have Orangeville on the other end. Tyree Samuel kicks it back out. Ball swung around. Cool. A little bit of a two-man game.
Good
running
defense,
right now.
sticking with them.
And what appeared to be a foul call turned into a travel. It'll be Thornlea's basketball, only down 8, and it's been a game of runs. Cassius McNeely now dribbling the ball up for Thornlea. McNeely swings it around. On the inside, back to McNeely, looking to create space. Finds a player, corner three. Nothing by net. That was a huge bucket. Jamal Telfort.
That Orangeville defense was moving on a string. Thornlea persistent with moving the ball around. Eventually they do find the open man.
And now another corner three. This one unable to convert. McNeely with the ball. Taking his sweet time, trying to create another run to which they can see a tie and maybe take the lead. Unable to convert that one. Bartholomew, very rare miss from him. Another three-pointer up, well short.
Scott wide open, just maybe took it too lightly.
Well,
had lots of time.
Nothing but net, but just not the part of the net you want to hit. But coming back on the other end.
Telfort turning it up.
Telfort. And cutting the lead down to 3 when it looked like they might have been down and out. Always a lot of faith in their team. Ball swung around. Samuel. Time and space, coughing the ball up, wanting the ball to stay with his team, but it will be Thornlea basketball.
Just pops out of his hands there and flies out of bounds.
And a timeout called by Orangeville, maybe dreading this comeback. Only 3 points behind after trailing by 12 just moments ago, and like we've been talking about all game long, it's been a game of runs.
Absolutely, and Telfort now for Thornlea, supplying the thunder for his team as they've mounted a fourth quarter resurgence here. All of a sudden within 3. Still a lot of time left in the game. 6 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. As Thornlea looking to show Orangeville that they might have their number.
They might have their number, and the number right now is 3. The lead that Orangeville has over Thornlea. And the number for Thornlea might be 7, which is 7-3 after a win today, which would truly solidify them as one of the powerhouses in the OSBA with back-to-back wins over this, what should be a heavily favored Orangeville prep team. Of course, year after year after year, one of the best teams in the province, if not the nation.
Not only that, this is these teams are in the same division. This has implications for the playoff picture potentially. If Orangeville should have a second half slide. And here we go.
Of course, regular season doesn't mean anything if you can't get it done in the playoffs. So seeding means everything right now. Thornlea, deep 3, drills it. Nothing but net. Cassius McNeely.
3-ball, couple taps to the head. Carmelo Anthony's a free agent. They don't need him with with actions and responses from a guy like McNeely right now.
And looking for a quick response. A foul on the inside, saying it was a shot, but I cannot imagine that that was intended to be a shooting motion. Jefferson Koulibaly. To me, that was certainly a pass, and the referees agree. Now Koulibaly gets it back, launches a three, quick trigger, unable to finish. Offensive rebound, 1, 2 offensive rebounds, converted. Tyree Samuel.
Just too much size inside, ends up in the hands of the Seton Hall commit.
Seton Hall's got a good one. Ball swung around on the inside. And a foul called. Tho Bell will head to the line, shooting 2 free throws.
Tho Bell, as both teams playing shorthanded right now, their coaches have all gone to the locker room to check up on that assistant coach. Left the game moments ago.
More than a game. That's
Absolutely.
all I need to say.
2-point game on the floor, but obviously everyone's minds are with hoping that he's all right.
Of course, this game extends a lot farther than just what's on the floor. These players are students first, athletes second. So you see the way that they perform, you see what we show you, what we decide to show you on the floor, but you don't see all this stuff behind the scenes. It's a great gesture of sympathy from the opposing head coach to be in that locker room right now with one of the assistant coaches from this Thornlea team, as he's not in the best shape of his life. Can't disclose any further details as we're not aware, but a deep three this time. And an offensive foul.
No foul called.
No foul called. The outrage.
He just surprised him on the back
of the third assistant on Thornlea, who was near the half-court line as that push in the back occurred. No foul called. 2-point lead for Orangeville. 5 minutes left. Floater. Air. Orangeville looking to break now. Great finish on the inside. Joe Jones does it again.
Just the lucky man running the lane there and gets rewarded with the ball. Wow, the contested three will drop there for Bartholomew.
And Bartholomew truly has been an absolute wrecking crew on this offensive end. Only a 1-point game, and like we were saying earlier, it might just come down to the wire, and it certainly is. Orangeville, once again, blocked on the inside, and nearly turned over once again after a great defensive stand. But this time, ball swung around. Deep three, drills it! Cassius McNeely from behind the arc, giving his team the first lead of this second half with just under 4 minutes to play.
That'll get their crowd, who traveled here from Thornlea, up and cheering.
And they are excited, nearly storming the court. Thornlea fans, but silenced. This one from number 5.
Samuel with the silencer.
Harry Samuel nearly stolen by Jefferson Koulibaly, but it will stay with Thornlea. And an ill-advised pass there, but
oh, and he almost saved it.
Nearly saved. I do not understand the mentality in that inbounding position. However, it's a lot easier for me to say that up here when I'm watching a basketball game versus when I'm playing what could be the biggest basketball game of some of these players' lives. Mays. Moncrief. Back to Mays.
Calls for the screen.
And a corner jumper. This one good. It's a 2-pointer, but this will give them a 3-point advantage. Keyshawn Bartholomew kicks it out, swings it around McNeely, back to McNeely. Bartholomew for three to tie it up. Hits the backboard. And this one off the foot of Jamal Telford.
Telford trying his best to corral the ball under the rim. It just trickles out onto the baseline. It'll be Orangeville ball with 2:39 remaining, up 3. Let's see how they control the remainder of this game at home.
And Thornlea beginning to employ a press. Might be a little counterintuitive, but a good steal that time. Wide open. Nearly able to convert the and one. Great sportsmanship by Giovanni Scott, helping the player that he knocked down up off the floor, but almost having the chance to tie it up with a free throw. This game has been extremely exciting from a neutral point of view.
Bartholomew will toe the line. First one short. Maybe he needs to take a step or two back.
Maybe he heard me screaming. This game has been extremely exciting on both ends. No team able to solidify a lead, as we're clearly looking at a 2-point advantage only by Orangeville, who are likely the favorites coming into this game, likely have a bigger chip on their shoulder than the Thornlea, and playing a good game. Maybe they deserve more than a 2-point lead, but we're in the spot we are right now because of great swarming defense, great effort by this Thornlea team, and once again being demonstrated, forcing very difficult possessions from Orangeville. And right on cue, it's the commentator's curse.
The pressure defense just broke down there, and they'd been doing such a good job of harping on the ball, and then all of a sudden, Moncrief finds himself all alone for the two-hand flush.
And in the corner, great dish on the inside and a phenomenal finish. Cassius McNeely once again getting into the headlines. And now a trap, down to 18 seconds on the shot clock, able to get it over the line. And a miss followed up by number 5, Tyrese Samuel, which will prompt a substitution by Thornlea.
That second chance opportunity hurts. Thornlea applying so much pressure all the way up the court that a lot of their defenders were still far from the basket and allowed an open rebound.
And those offensive rebounds have truly been a thorn in Thornlea's side all game long. Now Thornlea to trigger to Keyshawn Bartholomew.
Staring down a 4-point deficit. Thornlea with a crucial possession here.
And these fans getting into it entirely. Elbow jumper, front rim, no good. Orangeville now will likely look to slow the pace down. But out of bounds, that sideline, has been haunting both these teams throughout this entirety of the game. As you were saying earlier, quite a few called on that side. I believe that's the first one called on this side.
Just got to watch out for that line. A couple of these guys with big feet.
And about 80 seconds left in this one, a 4-point advantage from Orangeville.
Thornlea will get a second chance here at this 84-80 score to try to even it out with a 4-point play.
Oh, and it goes up and he throws it down. Beal showing us his athleticism skying up, making it look so easy and so nice.
That looked like a scripted play for the fly-in flush. Tho throws it down. Just over a minute remaining.
Just over a minute remaining, prompting a timeout from this Orangeville team. They need to talk it over, and we need a little bit of a breather because it's been absolutely non-stop action over the past 9 minutes or so. A game of runs, and whichever team comes out on a run will win this game over the next minute and change.
You know, there was probably twice in this game when when I considered it over. I thought Orangeville had taken the lead. They're at home. They should be able to just lock it down inside with 10-point lead, 8-point lead at another point.
And you almost blink and you look up and it's gone before you even notice that they went on this run.
Cold spells maybe for Orangeville, part of that. But obviously hot shooting. A few stretches. We saw Telford go off for a stretch. We saw Cassius McNeely have a hot streak of his own, a couple threes, getting the bench up. And Bartholomew just been kind of their consistent scorer all game long.
All their guys have been able to contribute, and as you were saying earlier, if you looked at this objectively with no scoreboard, no previous knowledge as to who these teams were or where they are right now, you would think that Orangeville has a major advantage just looking at the eye test, but 2 points, just under 70 seconds left in this game.
Coming out of a timeout here, they'll look to shut it down.
And back to Mays. And a tip ball, but corralled this time by Orangeville. Swung on the inside. Joe Jones doing what he does best, finishing with contact in the paint.
The big man running the lane.
Cutting to the rim and getting the easy bucket for him. Finishing off glass with his strong hand.
60 seconds remaining. Orangeville now with a little more comfortable lead. 2 possessions. Up 86-82. Definitely looking to send these traveling fans from Thornlea home with a bit of a bummer after clawing their way back into this game multiple times.
It's pretty crazy to me. This is the third play-by-play game I've done for the OSBA, and each of them have come down to the last minute. Of course, our first game together was Southwest against the champions Rise, and Southwest took the lead with a few seconds left and a game-winning dunk from the Rise to take that one. My second game, Central Tech and Vaughan. Central Tech trailing Vaughan by 22 points, pulling the game back within 1 score and unable to convert, but this one living up to the hype.
Definitely living up to the hype. And
as we see Thornlea working it around, only 4 seconds left. 4-point advantage. But that one just off. And Orangeville with the rebound. Now maybe looking to use up a little bit of clock there. Joe Jones maybe thinking better of that 3-point attempt, although he was wide open. Jones kicks it out for 3, and the game unable to convert. That would have padded the lead. Offensive rebound, though. And a foul called. 24 seconds left and a 4-point lead for Orangeville Prep.
And we've just been made aware that the assistant coach for Thornlea is okay.
Of course, that's always good. More than just a game, as we were talking about before. But great to get that update before the game ended in case anybody at home was worried. Orangeville now. Short shot clock, but bailed out by a foul. Joe Jones.
At this point, if you're Thornlea, you've got to commit those fouls. Stop the clock somehow with only 19 seconds remaining. 4-point deficit. Time is not on your side.
And maybe taking their luck with free throws now. Hoping for a couple misses, which might give them a chance to claw back into this game. And looking for a steal or a foul.
And so far unable to. No foul there.
And a technical foul called, this one on number 9, Kashawn Bartholomew. Very difficult for the referee to have a no call before that because there's a fine line to cross. You don't want to foul the player too hard because it is.
You know at that point as a referee that they're trying to commit a foul. You don't just give it to them, though. They have to commit a foul.
See, that's
a lot of those near misses.
Another unwritten rule to which you don't want to hit the guy too hard to cause injury, maybe pick up a flagrant, but you also can't give him a dinky foul like that, which it's almost implied that you're trying to foul, but you aren't in a position to foul. So I don't disagree with the call, especially with what was the words that were uttered to the referee to give the technical here. second foul definitely warranted.
No arguing the technical.
But the frustration, very understandable because of that gray area, those unwritten rules that we were discussing earlier. And now we will have 2 more free throws. Matthew Alexander Moncrief looking to put ice on this game.
A few final substitutions and coaching maneuvers. Joe Jones will take a seat on the bench.
And some strategic changes here. I guess there are not free throws, as I previously said, as it seemed like the referee had signaled to before, but an out of bounds now. And Cool will be the inbounder. Good deflection
Jefferson.
from Jamal Telfort.
Jefferson Koulibaly will attempt the inbound again. Looked like for a moment they could have come up with a steal as Telfort tries his best to pressure the defense. However, eventually does commit the foul. Moncrief to the line, shooting 2, and looking to make this a 5-point, potentially 6-point game. Only 7.4 remaining.
And the time playing a huge factor now, a 5-point game with under 10 seconds left. It looks like this game's been put to bed. What an outstanding contest it's been. Very difficult to break down this press. And a 3 will be launched up, no good, and that will do it. Orangeville holds out and avoids dropping 2 in a row to Thornlea, but Thornlea had a great fight in that.
None of that was a foregone conclusion until the final moments. Just a minute remaining, we had a tie game, but Orangeville Prep closes it out on their home floor, 88-82. A bit of show of revenge for last Thursday's loss, their first of the season, as they'll move to 7-1. And that puts Thornlea at a very respectable 6-4 in a tough division, in a tough league.
Very respectable indeed. I know we were talking about earlier the tough matchups they've had, most notably the back-to-back against Orangeville and the one game against the defending champion Rise. So 6-4, not a bad benchmark 10 games in, and of course a lot of stuff to look forward to, especially with the way they performed in this one. Just unable to finish it up, pulling back in 3 or 4 times, however, when it looked like Orangeville might blow this game open.
Thank you all for joining us on this OSBA TV Game of the Week broadcast. From Ontario Basketball, I'm Devin Gray.
And I'm Ryan Siegel. We'll see you next time.